Acarya Acarya Shti AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Ram Vishnupada Paramahansa Parija Acarya Shti Shishima, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Prem Sikha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki, Vrindavan Dham ki, Mathura Dham ki, Ganga Mai ki, Yamuna Mai ki, Tulasi Devi ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Samveta Bhaktivinoda ki. All glories to the Sima devotees, all glories to the Sima devotees, all glories to the Sima devotees, all glories to Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, text number 2. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrinu. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tang Shrinu. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tang Shrinu. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tang Shrinu. Please repeat.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrinu.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Trividha Bhavati Shraddha
Trividha Bhavati Shraddha
Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja
Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja
Satviki Rajasi Chaiva
Satviki Rajasi Chaiva
Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrinu.
Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrinu.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Trividha Bhavati Shraddha
Trividha Bhavati Shraddha
Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja
Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja
Satviki Rajasi Chaiva
Satviki Rajasi Chaiva
Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrinu.
Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrinu.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Trividha Bhavati Shraddha
Trividha Bhavati Shraddha
Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja
Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja
Satviki Rajasi Chaiva
Satviki Rajasi Chaiva
Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrinu.
Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrinu.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrinu.
Okay, Mataji's.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha त्रिविधा भवति श्रद्धा यैनां सा स्वभावजा सात्विकी राजसी चैव तामसी चेति तां शृणु श्री भगवान उवाच त्रिविधा भवति श्रद्धा देहिनां सा स्वभावजा सात्विकी राजसी चैव तामसी चेति तां शृणु
Okay, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha,
Sri Bhagavan Vacha,
Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
Trividha,
Trividha,
of three kinds,
of three kinds,
Bhavati,
Bhavati,
becomes, Shraddha,
Shraddha,
the faith, Dehinam,
Dehinam,
of the embodied, Sa, that, Swabhavaja, according to his mode of material nature, Satviki, in the mode of goodness, Rajasi, in the mode of passion, Cha, also, Eva, certainly, Tamasi, in the mode of ignorance, Cha, and, Iti, thus, Tam, that, Shrinu, hear from me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of material nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds: in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Now hear about this. Purport. Those who know the rules and regulations of scriptures, but out of laziness or indolence, give up following these rules and regulations, are governed by the modes of material nature. According to their previous activities in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, they acquire nature which is of a specific quality. The association of the living entity with the different modes of material nature has been going on perpetually. Since the living entity is in contact with the material nature, he acquires different types of mentalities according to his association with the material modes. But this nature can be changed if one associates with the bona fide spiritual master and abides by his rules and the scriptures. Gradually, one can change his position from ignorance to goodness or from passion to goodness. The conclusion is that blind faith is a particular mode of nature. In a particular mode of nature cannot help a person become elevated to the perfectional stage. One has to consider things carefully with intelligence in the association of a bona fide spiritual master. Thus one can change his position to a higher mode of nature. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyanam Vinashalakaya Chakshurunvitamena Tasmai Shrivinam Hanshi Chaitanya Manuvishtam Stapitamena Vitali Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Tati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shivatapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savaditam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sadhana Rita Shivishakhan Vitam Shahe Krishna Karuna Sindhina Jagavati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavane Sri Vrishabhanusude Devi Pranamami Haripya Pancha Kalpatra Vishya Kripa Sindhibhyo Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtarvatale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Dinamani Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtarvatale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari Nijaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giradhara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Okay, Hare Krishna. So, here, can I get a little bit of water? Here, this is obviously, we're not going in any sort of systematic order. It is a verse that I've picked out in the 17th chapter, specifically speaking about faith, or the world here, at least Krishna, speaks of the word Shraddha, the faith. But it's not just, the word faith here is not just, it's not just simply faith. It is looking at a worldview. It is not just looking at what you just believe in, but how you believe in it. So a worldview or outlook on everything that we believe in. And so, as conditioned we're brought up to believe different things according to the society that we're born in, according to the body that we're born in, according to the place, time, circumstance that we're born in. So, you can define the societies in different ways. You've got the Western society, you may have the Asian continental society, you've got the African, you've got the South American. Each different society holds a different worldview. And so we see that Western society tends to try to be more rational with their worldview. Indian society tends to be more mystical, likes the supernatural side of things. Chinese outlook is more pragmatic. And so all these different worldviews, they're different lenses by which we judge things around us. Just as Krishna is saying here, according to the modes of material nature acquired by the embodied souls, one's faith can be of three kinds: in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. So, in this world, as conditioned souls, we tend to see through these lenses, the covering of the living entity, either by passion, goodness, or ignorance. And so, according to that, we interpret the different things. We have different outlooks on different things. Just like a Christian worldview is of a particular outlook, that the world is, Satan has taken over, and most people are influenced by Satan. And it's practically a battleground, and Satan has an upper hand in this regard. And eventually Jesus is going to come and solve everything. It's a particular worldview that they have. Now, how practical is it? I don't know, because so many times we hear Jesus is coming, Jesus is coming. It's been a long time we've been waiting around. Or the worldview, some may have the worldview that, the whole world is going to end in 2012. Well, it's 2024 right now. It's been some years, 12 years, since the world was meant to end. So there was serious people at that time, approximately, I don't know how much percentage it would have been, but people seriously thought that the world was going to end. Did anybody watch that movie called 2012? No, nobody watched it. I watched it. It was like crazy. But people actually believed it. They bunkered down. They were ready to go into war. Even nowadays, people are still so afraid. They're completely convinced that within the next year or so, that the whole world may break out, or the government may go rogue, and you have to defend yourself. Completely convinced of that. So, according to the different modes of nature and the influences of it, we have different worldviews. Or the worldview that there's a feministic ideology that the women, since time immemorial, have been suppressed by men, or that have been the exploitations have been the subject of exploitation from men. Which is, how true is it? Well, if you actually examine it, it doesn't seem to be so true. So, what we believe influences how we view ourselves, how we view the world, and how we view others. How we view other people, just like the Christians see the Hare Krishna devotees as worshippers of Satan, or worshippers of the devil. Even though, is there any logic to it? Not at all. So, Prabhupada defines this as blind faith, or one who is under the grip of material nature, that there is no logic or questioning involved, but one just believes. Why? Because it's the thing to do. So often it's, the religion itself is looked at as a view of those who can't, now in modern science, those who can't really who are not so intelligent and they can only just believe and have blind faith. That is the standard of what is defined as religion. So therefore, the worldview of science is prominent, atheism. That we can explain everything by science. That in itself is also a belief. Because you believe that everything can be explained, but when you start to dive a little bit deeper into it, then there's things you cannot explain, and then therefore you call it chance. Therefore you call it somehow came about, somehow happened. So belief is there in every aspect, and one person, just like the scientists the atheists want to convince those who are believers of God in religion, those who are Christians want to make other people believe that Jesus is the only way, and there's nothing other than that. And then there's people who, well, you can believe what you want to believe, right? You can believe what you want to believe. Why does it matter to me? You believe what you want to believe, I'll believe what I want to believe, and we'll all be happy together. But this is also a flawed philosophy, because my belief is that I should force you to believe what I believe. So here's a book, and here's a gun, choose one. You either go to hell forever, or you accept what we say. So people have such strong beliefs, or some people don't have such strong beliefs. You can believe whatever you like, because those people who come to this platform of, well, believe what you like, well, they're not willing to consider so many things, not willing to question so many things. So this is the point you come to, that everybody can just do whatever they like and everything is fine. As long as you're happy and I'm happy, everything is fine. As long as nobody harms each other. As long as that happens, then you can believe what you believe, and I can believe what I believe. But then the question comes, what is harm? So such strong belief of whether it's fanatical like the Christians, who, unless you believe exactly what we say, and even within that, you have the Protestants, and then and then you have the Methodists, and then the Catholics, and each one believes the other one is not going to heaven, and the other one is going to hell because you don't believe in what I believe in. So even within the same realm of worldview of seeing Jesus as one savior of some sort, even within that, one has different views or different perspectives that contradict either their Shastra, or that they look down upon another, and they have to believe what I believe. Otherwise, it's useless. Otherwise, everything they believe is absolutely false. So, as Krishna often, Krishna makes this clear in the Bhagavad Gita, that where does this strong faith come from? Well, specifically in reference to the demigods, he says that this faith, I give them this faith. Even the atheist Krishna says, I give them. They don't believe in me. And Krishna also plays a very deep role in the sense of the psychological position that Krishna has within the heart of the living entity, that matir smritir jnanam apohanam cha, that he gives knowledge and forgetfulness to the living entity, so that we may forget some aspects and remember some aspects, undergo certain modes of material nature, develop deep faith in something that may not be exactly true, or maybe half true. So one goes on in this material world with a particular conception, a particular view of the world according to one's own position and the different natures that one has acquired. So otherwise, you cannot go on in life. Otherwise, it's just, if there isn't some idea of how the world runs or how we view the world as true, your life practically becomes impossible to go on with, right? It's like, imagine waking up in the morning and questioning everything. It's like, well, if you're brushing your teeth, looking at yourself, is that actually me? Who am I? What am I going to do? Should I actually go to work today? What is the use of working? How should I go on with life? Your boss at your work tells you to do one simple task. Okay, I need you to hammer the nail into the board today. And then you get philosophical. Well, what is a nail? What is a hammer? Is the nail hitting the hammer, or is the hammer hitting the nail? So then you can start to question everything. So one requires a particular world view in order to actually go on in his life. He needs to have a particular sense of the truth, or what is truth to him, in order to go on. Everybody has their own philosophy. Everybody has their own worldview. So it requires one to have something like that in order to go on in life. Otherwise, you won't be able to go on. Because to most of us, there is nothing more than just working a 9 to 5. It's a simple worldview. Yeah, if I go to work, I work 9 to 5. I come back home, I eat, I sleep, I have some sex, I look after my children, and then go to sleep and wake up and do the same thing over and over again. So people have some people just have a simplistic worldview, and for them that's it. That's their whole life. That I just go to work and do this, and in their mind there's nothing more than that, and there's nothing more for them to consider. Because if they were to consider such things, then it creates a great deal of difficulty within their life. To have to undergo a change of one's worldview is very difficult, because we are attached to that false ego that's there. This is my philosophy, this is my worldview, I am 100% right. And so the living entity under this different worldviews continues, as Prabhupada is stating here in the purport, under these goodness, passion, and ignorance. The views of goodness, passion, and ignorance continues in this world from one body to another. So it's in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna starts to offer a little bit more than a simplistic worldview, whether this is right and this is wrong. Krishna starts to give a deeper understanding of why people act in the way they do, why people have a particular type of worldview, and why they continue to act in this way, or how they have come about to act in this way. Krishna gives a very deep analysis of that throughout the Bhagavad Gita. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, where he speaks again to Uddhava, he goes very deep in this, the symptoms of modes of material nature, the qualities of modes of material nature, goodness, passion, how one works, how one thinks, how one acts in this particular state of nature, in the different states of nature. So here, Krishna offers a very different varieties of outlooks. According to how Krishna offers the idea that there is more than either just you're right or wrong, but there's actually one's being influenced by these modes of material nature. So one often becomes bewildered by such positions. So you can see that, people are generally in goodness, passion, or ignorance, and according to that they see the world in different ways. Just like a person in ignorance doesn't see anything wrong with cutting the throat of an animal and eating it just for the taste of your tongue. Complete ignorance, has no worldview that actually I'm hurting another living entity. I should be more conscious of these things. I should not live for just my pleasure, but I should see that other living entities are also taken care of properly, that they don't experience pain at my expense. So this is somebody more on the platform of goodness. He sees with more of an equal vision than I don't care. There's no question for me to. There's no need for me to question anything. As long as I'm happy, everything else can go on. And then there's the person in passion who is willing to go out and do anything and everything that it takes for him to succeed, and is completely controlled by intense desire. So Krishna here, amongst these three modes, Krishna mentions he specifically, why is he stating all this to Arjuna in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita? Because he wants Arjuna to come out of the three modes of material nature. Under the influence of three modes of material nature, one cannot get complete knowledge. When we are influenced like this, we are subject to the four defects. That tendency to cheat, that making mistakes, illusioned and imperfect in our ability to acquire knowledge, in order to see things. So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is asking Arjuna to come out of it. Come out of, oh Arjuna, rise out of this modes of material nature. He's asking Arjuna to come out of these modes of material nature to come to a transcendental, to come to transcendental goodness, to come to transcendental mode of nature, in which one is not influenced by one's own personal worldview. One is not attached to having one's own personal worldview, but wants to see truth. So Krishna here is asking Arjuna to come out of belief and come to the platform of truth. He's saying, above these modes of nature, come to the platform of transcendental goodness and see things as they are. So one should try to see things as they are. And so what is truth? What is truth? Now, often now in modern society, if you go to school, what will they tell you is truth? Huh? Truth is relative, sure, but like, what is their absolute truth? What do they teach you in school? Proven by theory, sure, that's just science. But like, what do you learn? What are you forced to learn in school? Eat, sleep, made different. But like, what is this standard? Who do we follow the most in your school? Teacher, but like, what class? Scientists, right? When you go to school, you are teach science is absolute. When you go to school, you're not taught how God is there and all this anymore, at least. You're taught a particular worldview that science is right. Why? Because there's logic, there's reason, there's experiments. We've proved it. We've got theories. We've got equations. You see, science is truth. And those who do not believe in science, they're simply people who just depend on faith. So science is the standard of truth nowadays, that we all came from monkeys and we evolved to become human beings. So we were all at one point, there was nothing and something happened, a big bang happened, and then now there is, from some microorganism developed into some complex life as ourself. And so then that is the truth. But if you actually examine this a little bit deeper, the science itself requires more faith than what is required in understanding who's God, or that there is a God. Because science forces you to believe a particular theory that has no practical practice, that you cannot see it at hand. So they come to some conclusion that the universe is expanding, therefore it must have come from one little point. They don't know that. They don't know it came from that. But it's a conclusion, okay, have faith in us because we were able to perform some basic, maybe it's a little bit more complicated math to figure all that out. But then we'll come to a conclusion that everything came by nothing. All life came from matter. But you never see that. But this standard of truth that is accepted in modern age is also completely false. What is given as the highest level of truth that you can have, yes, science will conquer nature. Science is the standard of how we should live our life. And even that, amongst people's own worldviews, they choose to ignore certain part of their views and accept only bits they like and ignore those bits that they don't like. Just like science, okay, we're all chemicals. We're all chemicals ultimately. We're all atoms at the base. There's not much difference between me and the table here, actually. It's all atoms at the base. So what's the difference between if I cut someone's head off and throw it away, or if I break this table and throw it away? Why should you put me in jail? It's all the same. Why should you love your wife? Why do you want love? It's just a chemical reaction. It's just a chemical reaction. Why do you need that? Or just produce it in a lab and take it, and then you'll be good. A scientist should, if you're accepting this idea that we're all chemicals at base, then forget about living a life. Why do you have to live a life? Why do you have to have love? Why do you have to have relationships? You don't need all these things. You can get all these things from chemicals because that's what you are. So if you just work your life to figure out those compositions of chemicals that trigger that within your brain, then you should be okay. And they've tried to do that. Whatever, you have depression and anxiety and you try to cure it with some chemical or something, but it doesn't work. So they have this worldview that we all come from chemicals and we're all ultimately atoms at base, and actually there's no real meaning to life, but it comes by chance. Then you shouldn't try to create any meaning. Then you should have no meaning in your life. Why do you try to create meaning in your life? Why do you try to work so hard and try to become somebody and try to create some sort of work in your life? Why do you do that? There's no meaning to life. It's just by chance. Then just don't do anything. So you accept you have a worldview, but you only accept those parts that are convenient for you, and you reject those things that are inconvenient for you. Just like the Christians. Everything is the devil, but I'll go to the movies and watch movies, which is created by the devil. Actually, the fact that these people watch such things and they listen to music and all this is complete nonsense. It doesn't agree with any of their worldview. Those people that they listen to are completely influenced by Satan, by the devil, because all they sing about is about smoking, drinking, and doing all these things. And then you go to the movies, it's all about sex and all this. And most Christians indulge in that. But I believe in Jesus. Oh, how convenient for you. So the conditioned soul is completely the greatest nature of the conditioned soul is the cheating propensity, to cheat others and to cheat oneself. We only want to accept some bits. We don't want to accept everything. So here Krishna is starting to speak about coming to truth and understanding truth as it is, and completely acting in such a way that one is according to that. Because if one comes to truth, there's no more illusion, then there's no need to act outside of that. Because everything is correct, everything is in order. Just like because of the scientists, not everything is in order, because actually it doesn't make practical sense. They may, whatever in their theory, somehow they try to make it, they come up with this theory and come up with this whole philosophy and everything. They try to put it into their books and say, okay, this is truth, but then they can't act according to it. And similarly, just like I'm describing, the Christians, they say, oh, we believe in Jesus, we have to do all these things, you're the devil, anyway, whatever. There's so much that can be said about that. Everything is the devil, you have to only accept Jesus, but then they go on in their life accepting so many things that are of complete demoniac nature, because they do not have complete knowledge. Because it's not just knowledge itself, but it's also realization of that knowledge, practical knowledge, which one can actually act out. So the conditioned soul has this nature to reject those things which are only favorable for us, only convenient for us. If it's not convenient for me, then I will not accept it. Just like a lot of people reject certain aspects of Krishna consciousness because it's not convenient for them. It's like I'm speaking about this like feministic idea. Yeah, the Vedic culture is seemingly feministic. Seemingly, just like this idea, as I was mentioning, that idea of overall that females were exploited by males in human history, is that generally they interpret it like that. But if you actually see, the males were exploited more than the women. When males were forced to go to fight, they didn't have a choice. They were forced to, they were expected to work and provide for the family. They didn't have a choice. It's not easy to go into war and killing a bunch of people, and being ready to be killed, and being in that position. But then modern society said, no, women were oppressed. Really? Women were allowed to stay home, live a fairly calm life, take care of their children, be very peaceful. But the worldview, they've convinced us that the women were exploited. Actually, women were very happy. Families were very happy. There was no question of divorce. But the demoniac worldview, why have all this? Why have this? Because it favors them. Why? Because women should be strong, and women should be the next big thing, and we should go out and become the rulers of the world. Gives them a good feeling that, oh yes, I can also do so much. I can also show myself who I am. So if we reject those things which are not favorable to us, and accept those things which seemingly are favorable to our mind, body, and senses. So in that way, one acts in that consideration what is favorable for me, what is unfavorable for me. He acts in that particular mode of nature he is in. Just like I was describing, a person in the mode of ignorance generally tends to be more geared towards like meat eating and ignorant activities. So here we start to come to this platform of, okay, so what is to be accepted then? What is to be accepted? What is not to be accepted? What is real knowledge? What is not real knowledge? So Krishna is starting to speak about this. Krishna is starting to give knowledge of this. This is what he begins the Bhagavad Gita with. Telling Arjuna, you're just like, you're speaking very learned words, but actually you're like a fool. You're acting like a fool. How has this impotency come upon you, Arjuna? How have you lost the real vision? What is that vision? What is real knowledge? What does Krishna define as real knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita? Yeah, but real knowledge means to know what is matter, what is spirit, and who's the controller of both. This is real knowledge. This is the point when we start to go beyond just the idea of what is good for me and what is not good, what is good for my senses, my mind, my body. And then, so when we come to this platform, we're actually wanting to know knowledge, then we start to go away from, hopefully we start to go away from considering what is my idea of life. Because our ideas have cheated us so many times, and others' ideas have also cheated us so many times. And so, just like, we can say, and we can tolerate a level of cheating, just like we got cheated in university, telling us that you go to university, you'll be happy, you get a job, you'll be happy, you become a Christian, you'll be happy, you become a Muslim, you'll be happy, you do this, you do that, you'll be happy. Hare Krishna. So, you become this, you become that, you become a great person in this world, you become a teacher, you become a lawyer, you become a doctor, you become an engineer, become a computer science major, do all this and you'll be happy. All different levels of cheating. So, and the success, another level of cheating, success is based on how much money you make or how big of a person you are in society, how much influence did you have in society. It doesn't matter what that influence was. So one has to start to come to knowledge, not considering what is good for him and what is bad for him, but what is truth? What is real knowledge? How do we properly start to distinguish between what is matter, what is spirit, and who is the controller of both? So the Bhagavad Gita starts to bring one to this level. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, when he spoke this philosophy, it was done in a very scientific manner. It was done in such a manner that nobody could defeat him. That one's ultimate platform is that he is not the body, he's beyond the body. One is actually spirit, soul. One is able to experience all these things. One is able to see. One go from boyhood to youth to manhood to old age to death. That we can observe our thoughts. We can even observe the intelligence. That there is a soul within the body, and that we are controlled within this society. We're controlled by nature. We're controlled by so many different aspects of nature. And so then one comes to a conclusion that there is a controller. If one is controlled, there must be a controller. And that controller is God. And that God is not some impersonal light. God is a person. Another big hang-up people have in life about that. So this is presented in a logical manner by the Vedic system of knowledge. By Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita, he presents knowledge not through the lenses of passion, ignorance, and goodness, but through transcendent truth. This, just like in the 4th chapter, we have transcendental knowledge. This is transcendent knowledge that is not subject to time, place, and circumstance. It does not change accordingly. It is knowledge. Knowledge means there is no ignorance. Knowledge means knowledge is knowledge at all times. It's not like going to school and learning one thing and then 10 years later what you learned was absolutely wrong and now the whole thing has changed. You can make a case against your school for them teaching you the wrong thing. I went to school and in astronomy they taught me a particular sort of way the universe works, but now it's completely changed. They taught me a particular way that Einstein's theory works. Now that's completely changed. But the knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita is giving us complete knowledge of how the living entity is born in this world, how the living entity works under the different conditions of nature, how one transfers oneself from one body to another, who God is, what the nature of God is, what the nature of the self is, what is karma, how all this is going on, how time works. All these things are being described. So one should not see through the vision of one's own worldview, because just like I was describing, there is so much tendency to not to just cheat oneself, but to cheat others also. And so then one, as Prabhupada says here in the purport of this, that the conclusion is that blind faith in a particular mode of nature cannot help a person become elevated to the perfectional stage. So one should not have blind faith. Prabhupada says one should consider things carefully with intelligence. One should be able to use his God-given intelligence to see where is truth. Not considering that, because I like this, therefore. One should see, is this actually what it is? One should be able to have a level-minded view where even sometimes, people come to Krishna consciousness, and certain things they just don't like about Krishna consciousness because of their particular worldview and their particular conditioning that they come from. But if they're intelligent, even though they don't like it, they will see that, is this true or not? A person with proper intelligence inquires and sees, although I do not particularly like this, is it truth or not? Just like some people don't want to accept certain truth that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. It's not that hard, right? There's a whole documentary now. What is a woman? It's not very hard. There's a male and a female. But people are absolutely convinced that you can be anything and everything that you want to be. They're not willing to consider, okay, what is actually truth? So therefore, what do they end up in? They cheat themselves, they cheat others, and they end up in a hellish situation in their life. As you're seeing now, and especially in 5-10 years down the line, how much of a hellish situation they will create for themselves by accepting illusion as fact. So if one is intelligent, it may not be that we like some things. Just like when I came to Krishna consciousness, I didn't like so many things, because it forced me to put away the idea of sense gratification. Didn't like it. It's like, I have to put this, I have to not do that, I have to not do that. But there was a level of intelligence going, okay, but is this true or not? Is this truth? If it is, then even under the inconvenience of even if it is inconvenient for me, I'm willing to accept it if it's real truth. So Krishna presents a proper idea of knowledge, of the real goal of life, which is that the whole goal of life is for the purpose of life is for self-realization, not for sense gratification. The whole idea is that the human form of life is meant for that. It is a tool for that. Because everything else you do in your life will not bring you happiness. Because as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Dukhalayam ashashvitam, temporary by nature, temporary and full of misery. We've seen that again and again and again, but we choose to be blind to it. Right? Just like Coca-Cola. Happiness, right? What is that? What is their phrase? They have a phrase with word happiness in it. Anyways. Huh? Open happiness? Something like that. Or just like in the winter, you'll see a big billboard of Coca-Cola and they're all hugging and looks very happy. But actually Coca-Cola, you've drank Coca-Cola so many times, it doesn't particularly bring about happiness by drinking that. But there's a sense of that. Or just like by getting so much money, it actually doesn't give you happiness. Having so much money never will give you happiness. But because we are blinded by passion and ignorance, we choose to go down that route still. Oh yes, no, I will be different this time. Yes, the 99.9% of the people that did this were never happy, but me, I will be very, 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 very different. We tend to cheat ourselves, we tend to blind ourselves. So one should start to become of equal vision by understanding knowledge on the basis of that this human form of life is meant for self-realization. And when he starts to see through this lens that it is meant for self-realization, then one should inquire and seek out knowledge, that knowledge which is transcendental, apaurushaya, that which is not contaminated by the tendency to cheat, one's imperfect senses, to be illusioned and to make mistakes. That knowledge which comes from there, like we're seeing in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and those people who have undergone and taken up such knowledge and attained so many sages and great persons have attained perfection from that. When we take that knowledge and apply it to our life, we start to see practical realization. We start to see things as they are, not under a particular mode of illusion. So Krishna consciousness presents to us a complete philosophy in which we are not picking and choosing what I like and what I do not like. In Krishna consciousness, you'll not see this. At least among the strict practitioners of Krishna consciousness, you won't see it. Maybe among those who are not such strict practitioners, you'll see it. That the devotees of the Lord who have actually come to this point of truth, they act and speak according to what is being described in Scripture. They do not, and the actions of the devotees, the pure devotees, or the devotees who are aspiring to be pure, are also complete. They're not, we say this, but then we do this. Just like when we approach the Christians, we say, well, we're asking you to read literature that is of God. We understand, okay, you may not believe in it, but you don't read like standard novels and things like that. You don't read just normal things. You don't just read the newspaper. You don't read things online. You're willing to read that, but you're not willing to read that which is of God consciousness, and you're calling that the devil? How does that make sense? So a devotee will not have a worldview which is different, or a practice, or his the actions that he carries out to the different of Shastra. Why? Because Shastra, scripture, which is coming from Krishna himself, just like we see in the Bhagavad Gita, it completely gives us a complete way of life, not just philosophically, but practically also. So by following the verdict of the Shastra, by following the knowledge, by getting knowledge from, deriving knowledge from scripture, and following that knowledge with proper intelligence, Prabhupada says here, in association of a bona fide spiritual master, then one can change his position to a higher mode of nature. Just like we've seen practically in our own lives, coming from a mode of ignorance, seeing the worldview in a mode of ignorance, self-centered, performing so many harmful activities, and now in proper association of a bona fide spiritual master and following the verdict of the scriptures, we're able to see things in a much higher light, in a much deeper consideration, much more, in more reality. And what is that reality? Reality means Krishna consciousness. Reality means on the platform of the soul, not on the platform of the body, which is illusion. So, in association with the bona fide spiritual master, one sees through the eyes of Shastra. He starts to see the world as it is. As it is. So, in that state, he starts to get real knowledge. He starts to make real advancement. His life actually makes proper sense. So, in this way, a living entity conquers his own simple faith or some worldview that he has, which is influenced, and he comes to reality. Because when one comes to reality, it doesn't require faith. That may be there in the beginning, but faith itself becomes completely cemented, and it is reality. Just like I don't have to have faith that that there is water in here. I can see it. I can drink it. It's experienced. So the pure devotees of the Lord who have come to this platform of actually accepting knowledge as it is, they see reality. They see Krishna in everything, they see Krishna in everything. They're able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're able to understand everything that is going around them in proper perspective and are never bewildered. So if one comes to this standard of life, if one starts to come to this standard of accepting knowledge as it is, then he becomes free from goodness, passion, and ignorance. That means becoming free from birth, death, old age, and disease. And he comes to his real position. That real position is being a servant of Krishna. Jivera Swarupa hai Nityara Krishna Das. Or Krishna Nitya Das. Krishna Nitya Das. One's position, one's original position as a servant of Krishna. He starts to view the world through this lens, which is a proper lens, which is the transcendental lens. In that state, na sochiti na kangshati. Brahma bhuta prasnatma na sochiti na kangshati. Samasarvesu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. He becomes fixed in devotional service. And so in that state, he experiences unlimited happiness. And is never confused or bewildered by anything in his life. Everybody wants to come to that state ultimately. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants that. That's why you're working so hard in your universities. That's why you're working so hard at your jobs. That's why you're working so hard in your music career. Because you want to come to that point of seeing that, okay, I am perfected. I am stable. But unfortunately, in our mature situation, there is no stability. But when we come to this platform of spiritual situation, our real spiritual understanding, independent of whether you're materially successful or you're absolutely poor, then you'll never be bewildered in any way. Whether your body is healthy or your body is sick, whether you're old, whether you're young, You'll never be bewildered. Just like, anyways, it's been I haven't been in the morning program for a couple of days, and if you get sick, you start to have a lot of body aches, and you realize, oh damn, this is what life is going to be like when you get old. I mean, like, it's just like, because you hear about it all the time when you talk to old people, it's like, yeah, this thing hurts, that thing hurts, I have no energy, and you get a little experience of that, and you go, damn, this is miserable. Life is miserable. It's like, you think to yourself, like, I do not want to get old. But on the platform of devotional service, even that is not a problem, because one is fixed on absolute truth. One is fixed on understanding his position, not as a body, but as the spirit soul. And so that all begins by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This mantra allows us to cleanse the heart of being constantly pulled by passion and ignorance. Tada rajastamo bhava kama lobhadaschaye chetar ete inaviddam stitam sadde prasidati. So by reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, by Shravanam Kirtanam, by hearing and chanting the name of the Lord, one becomes free of this rajas and tamas, and one comes to the platform of transcendental goodness. It's very simple for the simple, difficult for the stupid. But you can see it practically in your life. It is not just some philosophy. It is not just something we're just speaking about here in a dry way. We're actually experiencing it. And those who are coming and taking to it seriously with a serious mindset to understand truth as it is, independent of what I feel about it, then they will also experience. They are qualified to receive proper knowledge. They are qualified to experience the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. Those who are willing to accept things as they are. So we can go on chanting Hare Krishna, reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavad Gita, and most importantly, associating with a spiritual master under his guidance, studying all these things, questioning all these things, intellectually inquiring about all these things, and there is no doubt that one will experience a change of heart. There is no doubt one will experience the bliss of Krishna consciousness in such an association. So, what is this verse? Satam prasangam mamavidya samvido bhavanti karna rasayana kataha, and then tajoshanad, and then I forget. So, ashu. Mm-hmm. So, in that association with those pure devotees of the Lord, let me bring it up so I don't mess the translation up. Here we go. In that association of pure devotees, discussions of the pastimes, activities of the Supreme Personality Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begins. So we should associate with the devotees of the Lord as much as we can. Speak about these pastimes, speak about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, and you will see in your lives, the experience of Krishna consciousness, the little experience that I've had and the devotees that are here had we can honestly say that, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing unless that experience was there. And we wouldn't be waking up at 4 a.m. every morning, wouldn't be restraining from sex and restraining from so many, intoxication and all this without the higher taste of Krishna consciousness, without understanding reality as it is. So, you can take up to this service. It's very simple. Starts simply by just chanting the holy name, by inquiring, by studying the Bhagavad Gita. Very simple. So you can start like that and make your life perfect. Okay, Hare Krishna. I'll end it there. If there is any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. Yes, bro. Any questions?
No, you should accept with the right hand.
Yeah.
So you touched on essentially the role that worldview plays in how we interact with not just the world but also the people within it. You touched more heavily on, it seems like, the Western worldview, obviously, as we're here. Can you kind of say about Western versus Eastern worldview? Just
Western worldview versus Eastern worldview, like we spoke about a little bit, that Western worldview generally tends to be more, you could say, more rational, just like you see the philosophers, more logical, and science is very, coming out of the more of the Western world, that okay, we have to be logical and everything has to be it makes sense. Whereas you go to places like East, there's generally a tendency to more just believe by hearing. Just like, just you see even when you go to India now, that you grow up in your families, and your family tells you, there's all these mystical things like the demigods and all this, and you just believe it. It's like, okay. And then you go on worshipping and doing like that. So there's definitely more of a mystical type of worldview in India, but Western society tends to have that more of, just like when we approach, in the West, when we approach people for Krishna consciousness, everything has to be very logical. See, that's how Prabhupada did it, and even now, when we approach people, we can't just be like, well, yeah, Krishna's God. Well, there's like a whole layers of logic and reason one has to go through before one can convince someone of, okay, this is God, and this is why God is like this. So whereas in India, there is definitely more of a culture of, okay, they understand that it's almost naturally there. So it may be that they accept that more readily, there's more belief, you could say like that. There's more tendency to just believe. In India, not so much anymore. But anyways, maybe Vishnuchita Prabhu can expand on that a little bit. But at least in the Western world, what I've seen, there's definitely more rational. It's like everything needs to be laid out very intellectually for someone to actually accept a proposition or idea or theory. So, you want to comment on?
I don't know, not really. I mean, most Christians just believe it, just believe.
Yeah, that's true.
Just believe. I mean, the big difference between Eastern and Western philosophies is the understanding of karma and reincarnation. That is the big difference. Another major difference, because of that difference, the conception of time is cyclical in the East, whereas in the West it's linear. Begins with creation, ends in. Whether it's modern science or whether it's Abrahamic religions, their conception of time remains linear. Whereas if you go to the East, the conception of karma and cyclical, everything being cyclical is very, very prominent. And it's not that in the East you don't have logic or reasoning, and it's not that there's no blind faith in the West. I think that's kind of just there everywhere. So.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, so the verse talks about faith in the three modes of material nature. For someone, a pure devotee who is untouched by the modes, how would we define their faith?
I mean, they're completely fixed. I mean, the faith that one has. I mean, it's like Krishna is defining here, that one's faith is developed under a particular type of modes of material nature. That faith, one's faith can be of three kinds: in goodness, in passion, or ignorance. Now, hear about this. So here, Prabhupada says that those who know the rules and regulations of the scriptures but out of laziness or indulgence, give up following these rules and regulations, are governed by the modes of material nature. So they're not governed by that. They just accept the scriptures, with intelligence. Not they don't reject it. So what is the faith of a pure devotee in the platform of transcendental goodness? Well, he's completely fixed. The worldview that he has is not particularly. It's just reality to him. So it doesn't seem like that the pure devotee of the Lord is like, oh, I have faith there is Krishna. No, there is Krishna. You know what I mean? So it's not in the transcendental state of just like one who is in the Vedic culture. If the Prabhupada comments in the Ishopanishad that have the Vedas said this, yes, okay, then I accept that as truth. So it's like it's not that they have faith in it, that they come to a platform of a reality. It's like they've accepted that as reality. That is their position, it seems. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
So I was listening before I came in here on the live, and you were saying how like there's a section of people that believe that you can believe whatever you want to believe and live how you want to live as long as it doesn't harm anyone. And then you ask like, so what? But you have to know what is harm. So I wanted you to kind of speak more into that, like what is the harm in that, and the thoughts on living freely without, any restriction.
See, what you believe, so you can believe what you want to believe as long as you don't harm anyone else. That's like I've said, that's like the general standard of modern society also. But like I'm saying, how do you define harm? Because like, okay, I believe that I can be some sort of, let's say, I believe that I can be a cat. I'm a cat. I believe that I'm a cat. Okay, how does it harm you? Well, it may not particularly harm you, but how does it harm the society in general also? Is it, okay, just because I believe that I'm a cat, why does it make a difference to you? Well, that's how it starts, and then you see a whole society of people that believe that they're crazy things, and now there's a whole mental depression and issues going on around modern society. And even just like then how do you define harm? How do you define what is harmful and what is not harmful? Because if your belief is harmful and I disapprove your belief, isn't that harmful to you? That I don't approve your belief? It's harmful that I disapprove your belief because it's harmful to other people. So then, on what point do you accept someone's belief and reject someone's belief? Because by rejecting someone's belief, you may be harming them. So it's all relative in this world, and that means it doesn't come to a particular conclusion. There's so many fallacies when one considers things like this, that you can believe what you want to believe, but you cannot believe what you want to believe. That's illusion. That's stupidity. I can't just, oh yes, this is what I believe, therefore I'll go on. And like, no, but what is reality? You can believe 1 + 1 is 3, but it's stupid. So there needs to be a push to understand a basis of reality, and that basis specifically ultimately coming to the platform of the basis of the soul, and then understanding, okay, what is good and what is bad, what is harmful, what is not harmful on that platform. And in that point, then one can actually be situated properly. Otherwise, this ideas of what is good for me, whatever, if I believe what I believe, you believe what I believe, but it'll never work out on the long term. It ends up in chaos on the long term.
Something that just came up, like when you were saying that, is that believing something that you're not an illusion can end up harming yourself, because you saying that I'm a cat. If you go eat cat food for long enough, you're going to get sick and probably die way faster than eating what you're supposed to eat.
Yeah, it's harmful to yourself and may also be harmful to others. Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's like, one should see one's worldview it should not be just of one's own view. It should be truth. Right? It's not like I want to accept this, or I don't want to accept that. One should accept that which is reality. Like I've said, although it is inconvenient, that for us $1 plus $1 doesn't equal $100. All right, but it's like it is what it is. It's $2, and that's all you got in your pocket, and you can't do anything about it. You're broke. But so is that okay? Is there anything else? Any other questions? Mataji's? Any questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yes.
So kind of piggybacking off what he said, right? How can you explain like the individualities of like each and every different souls of what kind of attracts us to like different things but doesn't attract to like, for other people and other things? Like, yeah.
Yeah, so different modes of material nature. Just like a person in the mode of ignorance is attracted to eating meat. A person in the mode of goodness is not. A person in the mode of goodness is attracted to harm. A person in the mode of goodness is not. A person in the mode of goodness is... Huh? Oh, sorry. A person in the mode of ignorance is attracted to harm. A person in the mode of goodness is not attracted to doing harm. You'll see. So all these things are given according to one's modes of material nature. One is attracted to certain activities. Now, the soul has also his individuality on the platform of transcendental existence that he is attracted to. He is attracted to variety. That's why even in this world, because it is exhibited through the lenses of passion, goodness, passion, and ignorance, it becomes distorted. But the soul has its individuality, and it is attracted to different. Just like you as a soul may have different attractions and different varieties that you are attracted to, than what the soul in the transcendental state is attracted to. So where is that coming from? Well, that comes from Krishna. Krishna is attracted to many varieties of things. So the soul, being a minute part and parcel of Krishna, is also attracted to many varieties of things. So the living entity in his transcendental states has his his personal preferences his particular type of taste that he has when he serves Krishna also. So ultimately it's done with the surrender of the jiva. Now that's a little bit bigger, but that the attraction towards different varieties is coming ultimately from Krishna. But the living entity under the modes of material nature, it becomes distorted like that. Is that okay, or is that?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
One more. You said as God's devotees, we're trying to pertain this kind of perfection. Like trying to be just God-like, Krishna-like. So for those who are still of their faith, but they're not strict, I guess for whatever reason, a sense gratification or anything such as the sort, are they the individuals that are not going to break this birth and death?
Yeah, I mean that's there, but it doesn't mean that we lose. It's not it's not that we end up in the cycle of birth and death forever. It's very important to understand. So one who is situated in Krishna consciousness, Krishna comments that there's no loss or diminution on his path. So when one takes the path of spiritual life, it is eternal. We're acting on a platform of eternal existence. So whatever progress you make does not change with the temporary body. So whatever progress you made in this life, in your Krishna consciousness, will not change in your next life, in your different material body that you'll attain. If you don't attain perfection within this lifetime, you'll begin where you left off.
So when you die and then you come back, is that when you know, like, either you attained it or not?
I mean, so the living entity, if within this life it doesn't attain perfection, if he comes back to this material world, then obviously that there was not perfection there. So, but we can see in examples, we know so many devotees, that they just came in touch with Krishna consciousness and they just took it up straight away. Why? Because that's been there from their last life. They were just able to give up everything straight away, pretty much just like that, and just take everything up, and then they've just done it the rest of their lives, no problem. They have their little difficulties here and there, but it's just like, how did that happen? Whereas people like myself, it's like, it took so much difficulties just to come to the level of practicing 4 regular principles and chanting 16 rounds. There's a symptom, okay, maybe I didn't do it in my next life. There's maybe something there from past lives here and there, but you can see some devotees, they're born in a devotee family, they've just eaten prasadam their whole life, heard the holy name their whole life, and just take the chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regular principles, and then they finish off in this life. So if one cannot do it within this life, which there is that is there because of one's personal desire for sense gratification and such, but we do not lose anything on this path. But at the same time, we should be serious. We should try to be serious. It is definitely difficult to come to that point, but if we can do it, then we do great benefit for ourselves with the little bit of austerities that we have to perform. It's just a little bit of austerity for a lot of progress and a lot of time you'll save for yourself in maybe so many millions of lives to come. And so it's a little bit of austerity to undergo in order to become, perfected, or at least strive for perfection. So stopping all these things, sense gratification, this, that. But if we can do it, if we can take that austerity, and it's not such an austere thing, right? It's like chanting, dancing, feasting, and hanging out with the devotees, reading, distributing Prabhupada's books. Initially, it's all in the mind. Oh, it's so tough. It's not so. There's so much bliss involved in it. So it becomes very natural. This is a natural way of life, Krishna consciousness. Material life is an artificial imposition upon ourselves. Working, only thinking about eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. This is all artificial position. Actually, you're suffering in this position. You're not enjoying. But in Krishna conscious situation, you're actually feeling it. There's actual happiness. But it takes some time, because just like in Nectar of Instruction says, just like the jaundice, vidya, we're ignorant. So just like even a person who's under the influence of jaundice, who has jaundice, even when he has to eat sugar candy, which is sweet, but it tastes bitter to him. But as the disease goes away, the sugar becomes very sweet. So devotional service is like that. Initially it's like, oh my God, it's so tough to do. But then when we perform it and the ignorance is gone away, then we start to experience the happiness of devotion. So that's why we say, spend a week in the ashram. Spend 1 week. You spend 3 days, is that right? 3 days. But spend 1 week. See how your life changes. You'll be super mental for the first 3 days. Super, what am I doing here? Should I be here? Should I not be here? What am I doing? If you can get past that, spend a week. Spend a whole week. And then spend 3 months. If you can do a week. And then see how your life changes. See how your world view changes. See how everything you see just changes completely. And then if you're not satisfied after that, then go back to do what you're doing. That's all. Go back to do what's the loss? You're all young. You're all in your 20s. And at least that's how I saw it. There's not much to lose. You have so much time. If it works out, you got something real. If it doesn't work out, anyways, you can just go on doing what you're doing. This is never gonna go away, right? You can always go to school. You can always work a job. You can always do this. But this, you have limited time to do. Practically speaking, it's very few those who can do it later in the ages. It's And if you want to do something, you have to do it when you're young. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult to change yourself when you're older. So it's the best time in your life to make a change. So spend more time. You have to spend more time in association. Constant. Going in and out. That's there. It's helpful, but until you get constant association, constant hearing, chanting 16 rounds. Have you chanted 16 rounds yet? Who's chanted 16 rounds among the women? Just her. Okay, so you have to chant 16 rounds?
My most is like 7.
So you can do 16. It's not that hard. I've seen kids do it. Little babies can do it. It's not hard. It will take you maybe 3 hours. Just pull your mind together and chant 16 rounds every day for a week. And then you see. Otherwise it's all speculation. Otherwise, it's just, maybe like this. What about this? So many questions, but you don't have practical experience. It's all useless. You have to get practical experience. You have to see that, I'm asking so many questions, but is this thing actually true? Let me test it out. So then you have to have that. Everybody has to have that initial leap of faith. Let me try it out. And if it doesn't work, that's it. It's okay. We're not here to force people to, you have to believe Krishna consciousness is true. We're not about that. So do it. Do something. If you're going to do something, do it seriously. Why half do something? If you're going to test something out, then test it out fully so that you can be confident. I did something in my life that I tested things out. Okay, it didn't work out, whatever. You can look back and go, okay, yeah, makes sense. Whatever. At least I tried it. So do it seriously, chant 16 rounds, see the experience. Until I chanted 16 rounds, absolutely impossible to let go of all these other things. So that's that. If you have to start chanting 16. Are you free today for the rest of the day?
She is.
Okay. And you too, right? You're also free. So today your only duty is to take prasadam and chant 16 rounds. Can you do that, both of you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Great joy.
Yes, both of you? You can chant 16 rounds today and take a lot of prasadam. A lot of prasadam. And if you do chant 16 rounds, we'll make very nice dinner. Okay? Is that a deal? That's a deal. We'll make very nice dinner. Okay? Okay, so you can chant 16 rounds today. It will take you some time. But if you feel like, this is too much, there's prasadam always sitting there. You can go and take a little prasadam and then continue. Okay? This is the best way to do it. If you get a little mental, just ask for a sweet and then you go on in life. That's all. Right, Mason? Yeah. If you take a nap and you wake up and you're questioning your life, you just eat Mahaprasadam and you're good to go. Okay, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.